This is a production of SDPB. Donors to the Explore South Dakota Fund support the production of local documentaries and other programs of local interest presented by SDPB. Friends of SDPB appreciates their support of this program.
Welcome to Dakota Life Detours. There are more than 300 towns across the state of South Dakota. They range in size from small rural communities to large cities. What they all have in common are people with stories to tell and a love of South Dakota. In this episode, we meet father-daughter wildlife artists Adam and Madison Grimm. We step into the studio of Bears Signs of Philip and see how famous wall drug signs are made and restored. And we visit the Timber Lake Area Historical Society to learn how they preserve natural history, cultural history, and artistic heritage. But first, we travel to South Dakota State University's campus in Brookings to experience Little International, one of SDSU's oldest traditions. In spring of 2023, the student-run livestock exposition celebrated its 100th year.
Showman Zachary Showroman, Everly, Iowa, and your 2023 Little International Championship Showman, Emily Knoll, Rutland, South Dakota. Congratulations.
Champion experienced sheep showman Emily Knoll is one of 164 South Dakota State University student volunteers who serve as Little International staff.
I've been involved since I was a freshman. I'm currently a third-year senior. So I've been on staff as well as competed showing an animal all 3 years, and it's just been super rewarding being on both sides of it, getting to work with people, also getting to work with my animal, getting to be have that competitive aspect of it, but also definitely that learning and memory building and friendship aspect as well.
Celebrating its 100th anniversary, Little International, or Little I as it's fondly referred to by participants, organizers, and alumni, is the nation's largest student-run livestock expo. In addition to livestock shows, Little I includes a diverse lineup of agriculture-related contests like livestock judging, milk quality and products, and a crop show. Along with Hobo Days, Little I is SDSU's longest running tradition. Cody Gifford is the 100th Little I manager. He oversees this 100% student-run event as it celebrates a century-long legacy.
This started originally in 1921. There was a couple years where it didn't happen due to scarlet fever in World War II, but 100 years of tradition here. And you know, I look at it that we've had roughly 150 people on staff every year over 100 years. That's a lot of people that this organization has impacted during their college career here at SDSU. So just knowing that and the legacy behind it, and tonight when we see the stands all packed with alumni, it's just going to be it's hard to fathom how many people have been involved in this through its years.
Alumni like Matt Gunderson. Gunderson served as the 78th Little I manager. Today, he is the Senior Vice President of Business Growth and Strategic Relations for Farmers National Company, the nation's largest landowner services company. The first in his family to attend a four-year university, Gunderson credits Little I with connecting him to SDSU and launching his career.
My first time coming to Little I was livestock judging. So we'd come for the Friday livestock judging contest, and part of what the igniting was the livestock judging coach at the time, Mary Nesville. I placed pretty well in the judging contest, and so she sent me a personalized letter congratulating me and saying, hey, if you ever have an opportunity and you want to come look at South Dakota State. I was a 7th grader at that time, but that was a spark, right? And then it started igniting, and then coming to college here, getting on, knew I wanted to be on Little I from just having attended from those, judging contests, really, and expand the network, right? Because all of a sudden, you got 100 of immediate close folks that you're getting to know across the university and across a lot of different geographic areas. And so, yeah, you got indoctrinated to a large family right at once, and it was just a really great experience.
For many, Little Eye is a family tradition.
We've had numerous Little Eye managers who have, been multiple generations. A father was a manager and then their son.
Berg herself is a second-generation Little Eye alum. Her mom participated in Little Eye in the 1950s, and in the 1980s, Berg served on Little Eye staff and participated in the Lamb Lead. Lamb Lead is where Berg met her husband.
When I got chosen to represent Block and Bridle Club in my freshman year in the Lamb Lead, or Ladies Lead contest, I had to construct my own outfit. That was the rule at the time. Now students who participate in Lamb Lead can purchase a wool outfit. But I could get help from someone who was in the club on fitting my sheep or grooming it and getting it ready for the show. And so I was in Pearson Hall here at SDSU, and I thought, I think one of those Berg boys is actually on second floor, and he's in Block and Bridle, and his family shows sheep, so he could probably help me fit my sheep.
The couple has been married 32 years. Today, Berg gives back by serving as one of 2 Little Eye advisors. Berg is among many alumni who gathered in the Agriculture Heritage Museum on the campus of SDSU for a social ahead of the showmanship finals. Laura Wright also attended the alumni event. She was the second female to serve as Little Eye manager during its 77th year. She returned to co-MC the 100th Little Eye along with Matt Gunderson. An agriculture professional and business owner, Wright said Little Eye remains relevant because it showcases the next generation of agriculture professionals.
I think in the next 100 years, it's even more important to show the community about agriculture because there's fewer and fewer folks living in that or working in that area.
Built on tradition, powered by a vision, was the slogan adopted by all 164 members of the 100th Little Eye staff, as together with their peers, alumni, and SDSU faculty, they commemorate this time-honored event.
Little International allows college and high school students a chance to develop and refine skills essential for success in agriculture. At the 2-day event, students not only have an opportunity to develop showmanship, fitting, and judging skills, but also make lifelong friendships. There are many occupations that are handed down through generations. Farming and teaching are often family professions. But the Grimms have made painting wildlife a family tradition, more specifically, their passion for painting ducks.
Before sunrise in South Dakota, Adam Grimm is getting ready to photograph ducks.
I kind of just go and get set up and see what happens. I go to pretty great lengths to try to blend in well with the surroundings. Because if the birds see you, they just don't come.
The photos will inspire his paintings that masterfully feature nature and wildlife.
Some people do artwork that invokes like rage or anger. I mean, I'm trying to paint happy duck paintings, and I want the viewer to feel happy looking at my artwork. I'm Adam Grimm, and this is what I do.
Adam has always been an artist, but there was something different about the first time ducks flew across his canvas.
You know, growing up, I went through lots of phases. I used to draw He-Man and G.I. Joe and dragons and trucks and monsters, and I kept kind of getting tired and moving on. There's so many species of ducks, so many beautiful ways you could paint a duck, from in flight to on the water, standing, even diving under the water with some of them. It's endless, you know, and I don't ever grow tired of it.
For the Grimm family, a passion for art and ducks is in their nature.
I remember watching Dad paint when I was little in his studio and just spending hours in there watching him. My first word was duck because I looked up at one of his paintings and saw the ducks in it. I guess that was kind of the first thing that made them think that she's really interested in birds.
The funny creatures have found their way into the hearts of countless painters who take their passion to the next level each year, competing in the Federal Duck Stamp Contest.
It's in.
That competition is the most prestigious wildlife art competition in the world. It launched my career, and it opened so many doors, so many avenues. I was able to get Ducks Unlimited Artist of the Year twice, actually 2 years in a row. And then most recently, I just won the Federal Duck Stamp competition for a third time. My oldest daughter, Madison, when she was 5, she came into my studio and was watching me paint, and she wanted to try to do a painting. She practiced and she ended up starting this painting, and it was turning out really good.
Having Dad critique it and stuff and painting alongside him, that was really cool. When I was doing the painting, it took a long time. It took over a year to finish it, on and off. And I think that was where I first kind of discovered my patience and interest for it.
It's pretty neat to see her have the ability she has, and to, kind of have that in, one of my children. We have spent so much time together talking about art, talking about the birds, building her aviary. It was her idea.
I asked Dad if he'd ever be willing to let me have an aviary, because I knew it would take up yard space and all that kind of thing.
And she said that she was willing to put the money up to do it from her winnings if I would help her build it. And I just couldn't say no.
Dad and I did the whole thing ourselves. I was going to only buy 3 ducklings, but I ended up coming back with like 25 ducklings. And it just kind of spread from there. I think now I have like 153 ducks.
The Grimms care for more than just the ducks in their backyard. In his home state of Ohio, Adam led efforts to restore 155 acres back into natural habitat.
It was amazing because they had species showing up there that they haven't really had in Ohio for years. And I was seeing people posting about it, and they would say, well, where is it? And they would say it's at the Adam Grimm Habitat Restoration. And it's like, wow, like that's kind of cool. To know that I made some kind of an impact like that.
The whole family shares a love of nature that grows stronger with each hunt, meal, mount, and painting.
I think people take nature for granted. It says in the Bible, let the birds of the air testify to the Creator. As an artist, I can look at it and definitively know that there was intelligence and design in this thing. This, something like this spectacular does not happen by chance. It's impossible. So for me, I always think, anything that's going to draw more attention to God's creation and maybe make people look a little closer and think a little more about that, I think is a great thing. And that's sort of what I set out to do with my artwork.
Adam and Madison Grimm hope to continue painting happy ducks for years to come. Wall drug has been a staple in the tourism industry of South Dakota since the 1930s. Bear Signs has been in business since 1991, and one of their main projects is refurbishing and painting the iconic wall drug signs.
Years ago, when I was 12 years old, I made a sign called BJ's Leather Shop. I was going into the leather business. That one didn't make it so far, but we're still doing signs. So I guess at 12 years of age, I kind of had an inkling of what I was going to be doing, maybe. You get to watch paint dry.
My name is Barry Knudsen, and we're at Bear Signs.
And I'm Edna Knudsen.
We're in Phillips, South Dakota. Step into our studio. Now, we started doing signs back in, would have been 1991. And I came back to Phillip, helped with track, got a newspaper editor job here, and then went from that, joined the National Guard, and I needed something a little bit different to do, and a guy in town here said, hey, why don't you try doing some signs? You're a pretty good artist. So I went over to Wall Drug one day, I had a meeting with Teddy Houston, ran into him, didn't know who he was, and he was just humoring me kind of, but we went and did one 3 little pig sign, brought it back, raw materials, did not know what I was doing, but it was a cute sign anyway. Don't know how long it would have lasted, but he ended up saying, you know what, let's do another sign. So I led to another sign and another sign, and finally here we are today. And we kind of built it into a family business. Edna came along right after I started, and we've been doing signs together ever since.
We're putting up a new sign face on a sign that was 22 years old, and we just put a brand new one up. I think it's really neat that some of our signs can last this long, and we have such a unique opportunity in the sign world that we can make signs that get to last a long time. A lot of messages will change with different businesses, but Wall Drug keeps their message pretty much the same throughout the years. So my job is to try to make our signs last a long time. So the sign that we're looking at right now, 22 years is unbelievable for a sign to last that long. And maybe we should have placed it out a little bit sooner, but it was still doing its job. What started out as just an idea of free ice water that Ted and Dorothy Husted started. It just kept leading to more signs and encompassed more ideas. All of our signs, we just keep getting to branch out. We get to do camping supplies. We get to do rock hounds. For an artist, it's a dream come true to be a sign painter and be able to do these signs in that way. It's not like anything else that you could ever come across. I think what I'm after too is it's not just a job. This has been something I've been doing for 32 years of sign painting for Wall Drug. But I take it kind of personally in the way that I want South Dakota to have a neat experience as you're driving across it. It's not just a sign to me, it's an adventure. All of them kind of lead to a new experience. Where we put a sign kind of helps us decide what to put on that sign. What I want people that pass through our state to really appreciate what they see here. And I want South Dakota to be proud of what we have also. We're trying to blend into what South Dakota already has, but we want to stand out. And I think by using a lot of signs from the 40s and 50s, kind of that similar look of what sign painters would have done back then, we're trying to keep the past alive, I think. And we try to work with the landowners, try not to leave an imprint behind, clean up what we come in. We take out even more than what we left with, basically, as far as if we find stuff behind, we pick it up. Wall Drug has been around a long time. They started out and they were having trouble during the Depression, and a few years into it, they went out with some signs and it worked immediately. And since then, it's just been snowball effect as far as what signs have done for them. And they have signs all over the world, and we have painted some of those in the past, but mainly we're focused on South Dakota, Wyoming, a little bit of Minnesota, taking care of what's closer to home. I was in Italy once, and it was such a neat thing when I saw a Wall Drug sign. It just brings you back to home, and I think that's what the soldiers, when they see a sign out in the middle of wherever country they're in, it just feels like home. And I guess that's what we want to do, is just create a nice, homey feeling for Wall Drug and something that everybody will want to go see, and hopefully they enjoy it.
It's just been one of those deals where we have tried to make it a family business and make it work.
And now we've been painting signs for a third of Wall Drug's life, so that's kind of exciting.
We might be one of the most famous artists in South Dakota, but nobody knows who we are. Famously unfamous. We don't want to just be a sign, we want to be an art piece on the highways. Our strategy is complex simplicity. When they're done, we try to make them look, well, everybody says, oh, they look so easy, kind of, until you get in them, and there's so many different elements to it. The drop shadows, the fade jobs. We give as much as we can to them, but still making our sign stand out. Before we even know it's our sign, we'd like you to know, hey, I think that's another Wall Drug sign, because of the colors, the vibrancy, the richness, the depth of it. And so we put a lot more into it than you normally would. There's a lot of complexity in these things. And my workers all come in going, oh, I'm so excited to work on these. And within a few months, they're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot to this. And I might make it harder than what maybe we should make it, but we get a look that's unique, and we're after the longevity of signs. We want to entertain people as they come across the state. Some people love our signs, some people are like, I'm sick of your signs. But I'll like, well, how was the signs in general? Well, they're really good, but sure got sick of them, or I love your signs. People do the ABC game, and we got to throw a couple little Z's out there and a couple other deals so people can play that with their kids. There's just about one for every day of the year. But no, it's really rewarding, but you have to be willing to put in the time. It's just great being in a small town because you can have the freedom to do all this kind of stuff.
He has too many ideas, I can't keep up.
And I believe, like Philip, South Dakota, there was a sign from the 50s I was here that we found that said, Philip, City of Opportunity. And I believe that's what it is. If you want to make it, you just got to find what your opportunity is and go for it. We're very fortunate to have this job.
In the early years, Barry had to hold back a little to stay within the Wall Drug tradition of text-heavy signs for better road readability. As he became a better sign painter, he gradually sold the Husteds on more imaginative artwork. "We bring history to life" is the slogan of the Timberlake Area Museum. This is very evident when you visit the museum and see the diverse collection that includes natural history, cultural heritage, and even a T-Rex skull.
When you start out an organization, I think probably if you're starting it for the right reason, the greatest thing you have is hope. And we had a lot of optimism, and we had a lot of faith, probably not founded in dollars and cents, but founded in the fact that we had the right mission, that we were after the preservation of history and the history of the Timberlake area.
In the paleontology exhibit, that's one of the main reasons we started the museum. Helen Ross, who was our postmaster, she took up a new hobby, and her hobby was being a rock hound, ammonite collecting, and that became her passion. It's a snail. And what you find is the fossilized remains, because they're found right here because this was an ocean. The ocean was right here, and that's why you find the ammonites here. Now, further to the north and west, you find dinosaurs, because that was the land. So we are in the perfect place to have access to both. And Bill Alley, who discovered the T-Rex we call Alley Rex, that was found in his pasture. He's a rancher up north of Firesteel. And a lot of the specimens of dinosaur species, mainly Triceratops, but this T-Rex was a big find. Those were from his place.
Along with the paleontology exhibits, the museum offers a Native American exhibit.
The Native people that come here have ties to this area. They have relatives, they have family members, or they're from this area. And to come here and to gather information about their own past has been enlightening for many of them. What we got involved in this winter count was we got a grant from the South Dakota Humanities Council in June of 2021. And we sat down with Dr. Craig Howe. He looked at our native, the items that we had and the way we had them presented. And we decided to make this a little more interactive. We sat down, we looked at the winter count, and we picked these 6 years. And with these years, they've got a theme that goes with each one of these years. And so within these themes, we picked items that within our native collection that we could use to highlight this theme.
The murals that hang from the ceiling throughout the museum were painted by local artists and depict the history of the Timberlake area from prehistoric to the present.
We had a committee, and the artists had to apply. We had the list of 50 subjects. We wanted them to choose from those to make at least 34, 36 images or paintings, drawings, multimedia, whatever. And so we did that, but we only had an average of $350 per art piece. Some artists were happy with the $350. Some didn't charge us anything. Some artists and some collectors loaned us things because we could get them copied and really nice digital prints.
Another driving factor for starting the museum was a photography collection.
Frank Kundal, and he called himself the Hanyaker photographer, and that's on his pictures, postcards, mostly postcards. And he came here as a homesteader over by south of Firesteel in about, I think, 1911, and 1910 is when it kind of officially opened here. I think the initial donation or collection came from Mary Beegler. We said, well, when we build the new library, we want to have a room to keep the Frank Kundal pictures and some other things that people were starting to give us. So that was how we got that we came to the decision of not just a library, but let's build a little bigger and have it be a museum.
His wife was my mom's sister, so they were my aunt and uncle, and they were the only family of my mom's that lived in the area. It was definitely a hobby with his, but I think I didn't even know he was really a good photographer as a kid. My mom talked about it a little bit to me, but Uncle Frank didn't. And he was very interested in the Native American culture, I think, and knew that that was something that had to be recorded because he knew it was passing. And so I think he paid particular attention to that. And also he knew the pioneer era was not going to last forever.
By showcasing the history of Timber Lake, the museum also brings the community together.
We never at that point even dreamed of owning a museum. That we were after the preservation of history and the history of the Timber Lake area.
The Timber Lake Area Museum is just one of over 160 museums across South Dakota. All of these are unique to their community, but have the common goal of telling the story of the people of South Dakota. As we continue our travels across South Dakota, meeting folks and telling their stories of Dakota life, we'll take you on more detours along the way and share those stories of our state's culture, heritage, and way of life. For all of us at SDPB, I'm Tim Davison. Thanks for watching.